We are joined now by our next guest. We're honored to be joined by Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Archbishop of New York, appointed by Pope Benedict XVI. He also appointed you cardinal into various dicasteries. Your Eminence, thank you for being here.
Catherine, Matthew, Father Roger, you didn't tell me I was following Pell. My God, your ratings are going to go right down the tube now with me on. What?
Thank you for being here. And
My honor. Thanks for asking.
When did you first meet Pope Benedict?
I'm trying to think. So I was rector here at the North American College, where Father Roger and Father Raymond were two of my students. So that was 94, and I would have met him then.
Okay.
Because he was visible in Rome. He's not the kind of cardinal that would have shown up for the cocktail parties, but you could see him very often. Yeah. So I would have known him. The first time I had a good conversation with him, one of the years, did we say it was 99 when I asked him to ordain the deacons?
He ordained them in October of 1999.
99. So when I was rector, we would always ask a Roman cardinal to ordain our men deacons. And we asked him, and he said he would be happy to. So he said, would you come over and talk to me about it? And also I was happy to. And then when he arrived about 20 minutes before the ceremony, so I was with him for a while. So those would have been the times I would have first met him. I knew of him who wouldn't,
right,
because of his scholarship, see? So I knew of Father Ratzinger, well, I presume 1972, because when I was a student here, Introduction to Christianity was required. So I would have known him then.
Wow, that's incredible. And I understand, I mean, you would come to Rome every 5 years with the bishops in your region, and you'd meet with St. John Paul II. You would have met Ratzinger at the time as well. And then you would come back and you met him when he was Pope. Can you tell us more about those visits in particular?
Well, you're right, Catherine. So look, when I was Archbishop of Milwaukee, one of the years I was there, we had what's called the ad limina, which is when bishops by canon law would come to give an accountability of their apostolate. And so we would have, as a group, the bishops from the region, which for us would have been Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana, we would go to all the dicasteries, all the departments. And we were kind of intimidated going to see Cardinal Ratzinger because the caricature, which now the world knows was inaccurate, that he was kind of distant, a bookworm maybe, and he was pretty didactic. When we went in, he put us at ease, and he said, look, he said, I know I'm supposed to talk to you, but the first thing I want to do is listen. And we were very moved by that, and the perceptive questions he asked us. He said, can you tell me about this? Can you tell me about that? So that was a very, then my next ad limina, when I was Archbishop of New York, he was Pope.
Okay.
So I met him there with my brother, with the auxiliary bishops of the Archdiocese. So I met him then again for the ad limina. And that was very, and then, so a couple times, 3 of the synods, I've been to 3, 2 of them were with him. And those were, we were talking today about his unique ability to just succinctly summarize things. So he would be there all day. Those are rather arduous. And he would listen, just to the bishops. And then at the end of the day, it was expected that the Pope would kind of give some parting words. And he had this magnificent ability to summarize what he had heard and put it all in perspective, which helped very much. Actually, one of the more intimidating moments in my life was when I came to get to be made a cardinal by him in 2012. And the day before, they said, we're going to have a meeting of all the cardinals, the rookies and the veterans. And they asked me to give a talk, and he's sitting to my left, and on the new evangelization in Italian, so that was doubly difficult. And I would have to say that was, and I can remember, and I don't know what, I think it was my upbringing, thanks to the Sisters of Mercy from Ireland who taught me, when you would be called upon for recitation, whether it be a spelling word, a catechism question, you stood up. So when I'm sitting next to him, everybody else, including him, when they spoke, were sitting, I stood up. And when he was done, when I was done, he said to me, oh, you spoke very well. And he said, you were raised well. You stood up to speak. I guess he was raised the same way in the classrooms of Bavaria.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the new evangelization.
I figured you would.
a mind reader, in addition to all your other talents. About a year before he appointed you Archbishop of New York, he was seated in the chair that you now occupy in St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Yes, yeah.
And he gave a beautiful homily there at Mass. But one of the things that he said is the most urgent need that we face in the church is to show the joy of our faith and the experience of love. How do you think Pope Benedict showed that joy and showed that love?
So, yes, and those are themes that his successor, Pope Francis, has elaborated upon in a very, I think, compelling way. He didn't originate it. It came from Pope Benedict. He did it beautifully because, again, the expectation that he was kind of a stern pope, and he could speak the truth with love. He could speak the truth with love. You and I heard when we were with Carl Anderson, the former Supreme, told us that what he remembered from his reading of Introduction to Christianity was when or was it the Ratzinger report? I forget, that somebody said, well, how do you deal with people who have so many doubts? Because the world seems to doubt the truths of the faith. And he said, well, let's find some common ground. We all have doubts, don't we? Even believers have doubts. We have doubts about the world. We have doubts about secular society. He said, so let's deal with doubts that we all have got them, and how do we resolve the doubts? Well, you bring darkness to the light, and Jesus is the light of the world. He had this unique ability in a very compelling way just to teach the truths of the faith with a sense of joy. Now, he wasn't, I mean, it's tough to think of him, popping a champagne cork. I mean, he was kind of a reserved man, but he did have a quiet sense of joy, didn't he? And it kind of exuded. And his love, can you remember? So who was one of the bitterest critics of Joseph Ratzinger? Hans Küng.
Yeah.
Not long after he was elected Pope, Pope Benedict invited. He said, come see me. Come let's have a meal together. Now that kind of confidence, that kind of courtesy, that goes a long way. Yeah. Didn't help in that regard, but he was very winsome that way.
Well, Your Eminence, you are a great church historian. In particular,
you're good too. Matthew and I have worked on projects together. Yeah.
In particular, in American Catholic history, your doctorate's in it. Could you assess Pope Benedict's and even Joseph Ratzinger's impact on the American church?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it would be impossible to understand Pope Benedict's magisterium without reference to his predecessors. I remember after he was elected Pope in 2005, the great Archbishop of Chicago, Francis George, said, we cardinals knew we needed someone to help us, he used the word, unpack the magisterium of John Paul II. It's going to be a light, and we couldn't think of anybody better. So his ability to continue that beautiful magisterium. Secondly, I think most people wouldn't say this, but the alliance, the beautiful symphony between faith and reason. See, faith and reason. So here you have this man of impeccable scholarship and rock-like faith. Now the world goes into bromides saying, either you're a man of reason or you're a man of faith. Never the twain shall meet. If you're a thinker, you're obviously not going to be swallowed by the superstition of faith. And if you're a believer, you don't like reason. Benedict loved to quote Anselm, who said, strange would be the God whose greatest natural gift to us, reason, his greatest supernatural gift to us, faith, would be at odds. They're intended to work together in symphony, in concert. He taught that, and I think that was a great lesson to a skeptical American society. I don't know if we got the lesson, because as you look around, and thirdly, I think this would be more anecdotal too, but I think in the way he shattered the caricature. So remember when he was elected, this is the Rottweiler. This was the enforcer. And when he just exuded that courtesy, that joy, that love, that warmth, that interest, he shattered that. That you can be impeccably faithful and also a man of love and joy. I think those are great legacies that he's got.
Eminence, the day he created you a cardinal, he gave you a gift. He gave you a ring in which there was
I should have worn it.
An image of St. Peter, St. Paul, and a star that
for the Blessed Mother, the star of
represented Our Lady. Well, talk a little bit about what that gift says about him and how it's impacted you.
It says a lot. Now I'm embarrassed I didn't wear it, although I'm wearing one of St. Joseph because in honor of him. That is a baptismal patron, and because once Pope Francis invited the world and the church to pray with and for him as his end was coming near, St. Joseph being the patron of a happy death. So I've been wearing this one. But that means a lot. I don't wear it very often. One of the reasons I don't wear it is one time it popped out. And St. Anthony found it in a church, and I got it re-welded, but I'm kind of reluctant to wear it. It means a lot, for one, because other cardinals have it, so I can kind of recognize a classmate, if you would, from the year you were made a cardinal. But secondly, when you think of the Blessed Mothers, the star of evangelization, and Peter and Paul, okay, the first teachers of the pass on the truth of Jesus and his message, that means a lot to me. It says a lot about being a cardinal, your fidelity to the office of Peter and Paul, your love of the Blessed Mother, the mother of the Word incarnate, the eternal Word. Is that the commercial? Okay.
Your Eminence, thank you so much for
My
your
honor.
insight and helping us to get to know Pope Benedict.
Was I more
the
interesting
16th
than Cardinal Pell, or what?
It's a tie. It's a total
such
tie.
I figure when I saw him on, I said, well, you've got altitude and width. So you're getting all the dimensions.
We prefer
Did they have
depth.
to widen the camera?
One might
when I
almost say the
came on?
four